Hello my kinsmen, welcome back to the Rimworld Dwarf Fortress Colony. You might notice things look a little different around here. Allow me to explain. In the last video, I kind of severely messed up the settings for the world when I made that settlement. Like, a lot. More or less, I made it so dwarves would never spawn or be a part of any other faction. I also forgot to install the mods that would add other fantasy races to the game. And to top it all off, I forgot to disable Mecha Hitler's endless swarms of robot rights activists. And all of this culminated in about 30 hours of footage that I recorded before realizing all of this. I'm not very competent. In fact, I'm so incompetent that I made my dwarves into baseliners with all the dwarf genes, something that I didn't fix until several hours later. So anyway, we're back with Snorri, Glorgnart, and yeah, that one. And if you saw the last episode, you know how this goes. Alright, I made a pit. An extremely cramped, dark, dingy pit with 3 hobos and a rat. A fine feat of dwarven ingenuity and craftsmanship. I know it looks like a subterranean crack den, and honestly, it very well may be. But it's our crack den, and we'll fight to the last of our kin for it. And if there's one thing I know about crack dens, it's that whoever fights hardest for it gets to own it. For example, my poor dwarves were admiring their shitty, dimly lit stone walls when a junkie came racing towards them. Her plan was to lower their defenses with her green floppy goblin titties. A strategy that would have worked except for one small flaw. The Death Stingers are devout Catholics, and they will not allow this green-skinned exhibitionist to sway anyone from the Lord's light. And once the thought-slaying crusade was finished, they turned their eyes towards manlit Mecca. Fun fact, did you know I've never had a pet rat last longer than a year in this game? Every playthrough, every scenario, these poor little bastards die in the first 3 months. My rats are always outside whenever a raid kicks off, which usually ends with some barbarians stomping them to death. But this time was different. Instead, the Death Stingers carefully and methodically ripped off his feet and plucked out his eyes. I decided to let the poor bugger rest. Farewell, Scave. Spread your endless diseases up in heaven, my friend. We'll be down here, butchering your corpse, then eating it. We're going to jump ahead a bit. I dug out more tunnels which would eventually become bedrooms. Dwarves live in tightly knit communities where they can hide from the sunlight and sobriety, but that doesn't mean they want to sleep in the same corner, especially when it's the same corner where I keep my floor jerky. We also recruited a genie who was bad at conflict but good at starting it. I'm positive her poor communication skills won't be a problem while she's surrounded by chest-height superhumans who are racist. To demonstrate their love and tolerance of others, my dwarves beat the shit out of a 14-year-old scavenger and took his lunch money. We also saw another genie named Cosmine land in the wilderness. Your chin is bare and your bones are brittle. I already have one antisocial parasite from your people, and she's a literal furry. I don't need another one with BPD. Take your fatherless behavior elsewhere. Instead, I'll do a quest so I can earn this hobgoblin with a title I'm afraid of saying too quickly. All I have to do is babysit this freeloading rich kid and keep her safe. Listen, when we take on a mission, we do it for wealth, wenches, and wine. And a hobgoblin intern would go a long way for helping us make our hold into a right, proper fortress, with mead that flows from the walls and gold that lines the floors. Or at the very least, a house that isn't one long-ass hallway full of mushrooms. And since my colony wasn't big enough, I decided to hold tryouts to join my settlement. And as dwarves, it was hard for us to accept the idea of inviting a goblin into our home. But he proved his valor and his commitment by letting Poop and Fartin shoot him 6 times with a short bow without dying. Dwarves admire great stubbornness and even greater stones, and this little fella had both in spades. Welcome aboard, lad. All we have to do is beat the rest of the fight out of you, and you'll make a fine pet. Aw, look, he's got the zoomies. Now, one of the defining traits of a dwarf is a great appreciation for gold and commerce. We take our business dealings very seriously, so when the humans told us they lost an entire scouting party to 2 rats, we generously agreed to kill them in exchange for 2 masterwork weapons. Charitable of us, I know. We dwarves make fine neighbors and natural philanthropists. Also, I know this place still looks rough, but it's really starting to come together. And because I have so much extra stone, I didn't even bother smoothing the floors of my bedrooms. I've got thousands of bricks worth of granite, we can afford to tile them. It looks prettier this way anyways. And just like that, my colony has a mascot. Perfect. I decided to give him one of the names that my patrons gave me. Behold, Foofy the Goblin! He's small, fast, and adorable, and I will protect him to the death. You keep your fucking hands off of him. In the wise words of Great Grimnir, any unwanted touchin', and we'll have a grudgin'. His first assignment after joining us was to go into this cavern we found and break this old insect hive. Look at that smile. You did great, Foofy. You can have a little piece of bug goo as a treat. And because it's absolutely fucking freezing out, we made him some pants, a little hood, and a nice shirt. Look at him! That's a dapper little gobbo if I've ever seen one. And look, we got him a little friend. And by little, I mean she's much larger than him and she can kill him with her bare hands. Her name is Gravel now, and I'm changing Hardy's name to Natir, and, you know, giving her the appropriate title. Why can't you be more like Gravel or Foofy? Foofy doesn't bitch and complain when I kill animals. He just sits in the corner and does his homework like a good little fella. And Gravel's about to become a fucking space wizard. All I gotta do is build this big-ass eyesore in my front yard. You really are the absolute worst, Natir. Now, something I forgot to mention. I spawned in with the schematics to make steel. It just didn't make sense to me that dwarves of all people wouldn't know how to make it. I understand if you think that's unfair of me, so as payment for my Rimworld sins, please accept this offering of Natir being an absolute fucking embarrassment. You have such a way with words, Natir, but being a vegetarian in the goddamn tundra sounds like elf shit if I've ever seen it. Speaking of strange elf shit, Sky Wizards crashed their magic space wagon into my lawn. I wanted to be mad about it, but they killed a bunch of dire boars and promised me more space magic for my hobgoblin. You're a strange lot, Knife Ears, but your gifts are adequate. As a show of appreciation, let me shoot these random strangers in your honor. Consider this the start of our friendship. Touch the loot and you're going in the book. So, because of the severe PTSD my last few medieval playthroughs have given me, I've taken it upon myself to start culling the animal population. You know, before the shrats spawn in and make them rush my base. A key part of this process was giving Foofy a blunderbuss. Does it make sense to give the smallest, weakest member of the group a black powder shotgun? I don't know, but it's funny, so I'm doing it. Go get him, Foofy! Run him down, you little scoundrel! This is somehow both adorable and horrifying. I need a drawing of Foofy chasing this man down with his blunderbuss. I'm sorry this is taking so long, ma'am. This is Foofy's first day on the job. He's still learning. Just please bear with us for a second. Also, I got cows. They picked a great time to randomly spawn in. Pay no attention to the horde of rabid squirrels swarming my base. They're mostly harmless. Mostly. Kinda like these goblins who decided to attack me with bows made of hopes, dreams, and shoelaces. Attaboy, Foofy, you show them. The most damage my colonists took was Snorri, from Glorgnard accidentally shooting him. Is it wrong for me to enjoy clear-cutting waves of these little green bastards? No. Grimnir smiles on my actions, and I'll hear none of this nonsense about peace and mercy for the goblin hordes. Foofy here is the exception, the chosen of your misbegotten kind. You can't fool me, you fungus-worshipping backstabbers. I know that it's you burning all that styrofoam next to my base. It doesn't make you clever, it just makes you a bunch of dicks. I love pissing off the elves as much as the next guy, but we don't tolerate environmental terrorism here, sir. I'm going to find your base. I'm going to stab you. I will attack as many houses as I have to if it means finding where you're hiding. And by attacking, I mean watch you get ripped to shreds by death stingers. Also, fun fact, goblins are extremely resistant to toxic fallout, which I think is pretty neat. It lets me murder tree people during the acid rainstorms. Okay, so I played off camera for a little bit. We have a bit of housekeeping to do. I accidentally made my dwarves modified baseliners again, but luckily discovered there's a mod to fix that. Also, my screen has looked like this for about 10 days now. I'm starting to run out of food over here. My little mushroom farm isn't big enough to sustain all these people anymore. And the goblins decided to blame me for crop dusting toxic waste into the atmosphere. And do you know who really hates it when you fuck up the environment? By the ancestor gods, they're here. They're actually here. You dare knife here! You dare plunder and raid my ancestral home! You have the audacity to break me horseshoe pin! Slay the bastards! A grudge on their home, their bloodlines, their favorite cats, their— Oh look, bread. Wait, hang on. No, I was promised. I was assured that we could never dig too deep. I was given a sworn statement that this sort of thing isn't possible. Oh, it's just you. Insectoids, my dwarves are cave dwellers. I will actively get a mood buff for gutting and eating you. Don't fucking test me. While we prepare for this feast, I think this is a good place to leave off. I hope you guys enjoy this new colony. With the biotech DLC and all the mods I have installed, it's been great to do all this goofy stuff. A huge thanks to my supporters on Patreon for helping me make these videos and for naming my colonists. If you'd like to name one of my colonists, my Patreon link is down below. Thank you all again, and I'll see you all next time.